How's it going, everyone? We are back. Had to stream today. Man, video came out 5 hours ago. Drado's channel. Wow. Just got finished listening to it, and pretty interesting. Pretty interesting, I gotta say. I'll get to chat in just a minute. But if you haven't seen the video, I recommend. I mean, it's just a AI transcript. Drado, by the way, shout out to him. He does a great job. He did the entire history of Hex AI. SEC versus Richard Hart. I think that was the arguments from the court paper as well. And now this one. And it just, I think it was just, I don't know, don't know the story. I think it was just around the court stuff hearing. Let's see the video, the creative representation based on the public transcript declaration by Kyle Barr regarding case of SEC versus Richard Hart. So yeah, this is public information. You see the transcript here. I put it in the chat as well. And it is just, it's kind of like a Hex white paper in a way. It's part of it's white paper, part of it's just, just interesting things around RH and interaction with developers and all that stuff too. So really well done video. Pretty interesting. So check that out if you want to see it. But boy, there was some pieces where, I don't know, it's kind of like a behind the scenes type of look. So I'll go through a few of the highlights, read a little bit of it too, but yeah, get your questions in the chat. We'll go for maybe 30, 40 minutes or so. It's interesting. I want to scroll down to the bottom and just say this happened May 18th. So that was like 6 days after PulseChain launch. So pretty interesting indeed. Right. So this is, a year and a half old already. So back then, so keep that in mind. So wow, where do we begin? So this is, if you ever heard of Dev Kyle, one of the Hex devs, been around for a long time, of course. This is kind of like, starts out with like his story a little bit, just where it came from. My name is Kyle Barr, 38 years of age. Personal knowledge in the matter set forth in declaration, a sound mind, testified as stated here then. I live in the United States, work as a software developer, learned about Hex in 2019 through a podcast. I wonder which podcast. I wonder if it's like a Richard stream or like he was on somebody else's channel or otherwise. Around that time, I was interested in developing applications on blockchain. I wanted to devote my hobby time to learning developing applications on the blockchain based on how the podcast episode described Hex. Seemed like a good start of project. And then goes into development of Hex code. I was in public Telegram chat with Hex founder Richard Hart. Telegram linked to Hex code. I read through the code. As I learned more about how the code worked, I would answer questions that people online asked about how the Hex code worked. RH began to refer online users interested in Hex to me. At times, RH would ask me directly to clarify or check its answers to online users regarding how the Hex code worked. So know a ton about the Hex code. I mean, there's streams where Dev Kyle's been on there in the community as well. A lot of past content of him doing video and explaining about Hex and talking about some of the interesting things about even what was it? Different minting function, different technical stuff. That's super interesting. So by the way, hex.pub. If you're interested in the old Telegram chat, it's all online, all public. Archive of the Hex Telegram chat room from day one. I don't know what day it goes to. If I scroll down all the way, does it tell me, or does it just keep scrolling forever? I'm not sure if it's up to date to like now, but yeah, this is like, historical reference, hex.pub. If you go to Go Real DeFi, if you ever want to get access to this and other interesting stuff too, Go Real DeFi navigation, click stats, and this will take you to the bento.me page made, and it's got a ton of different, the closest thing we have to Hex white paper, other than this paper now as well. If you just search for white paper, yeah. So it's got this. I'll put this in chat in case anyone's interested. This is the most technical document I've seen with regard to Hex. Talks about silly well penalty, pre-launch, pre-claim, pretty cool stuff in there. So Hex contract in layman's terms, if you haven't seen it already. And if you search hex.pub here, yeah, Hex Telegram archive, it's on here as well. So check it out. I add some links here from time to time. These got a little bit unsorted at the bottom, but it's got a ton of different resources and just different community tools and stuff about Hex and PulseChain. So back to this one. Basically talks about like what is Hex? Comprised of 1 million hearts. Similar to Satoshi's, right? In Bitcoin, you got hearts. And then hex.com and hex.win are domain names. RH represented to me that he owns or controls. He made a big deal about buying the domain name hex.com. That was pretty amazing when it happened. It was hex.win for a while, and then like, oh, we got hex.com. And it's like getting a 3-character domain name. Like, yeah, it's pretty amazing. With even a few years ago, now it's like, gosh, how many millions of dollars you pay for that? And he talks about, so TBC dev, I don't know if this is the real handle or this is just like a placeholder handle. I'm not sure. But Telegram user handle wrote a hex code and is deployed on Ethereum network today. Web application hosted, go to hex.com. This is the application that interacts with the hex contract code on Ethereum network. Only developer, TBC dev is the only developer I recall who RH employed at the time for Hex. So yeah, according to this, Hex only had one, I guess, developer at least that made changes to the code, deployed the code, things like that. I don't know. Just read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Read the words and all this stuff here. But that's what I gathered from this briefly as well. I wrote a lot of experimental prototype code for Hex that TBC dev rewrote before it deployed to production. Okay, so yeah, so maybe Kyle, maybe other people wrote code for it, but the final changes, the final code, and all that stuff was through single dev. So let's see. Arch was responsible for setting goals and priorities for various Hex development projects. He would invite developers such as myself into private Telegram chat groups. In those chats, existing developers would be responsible for getting new developers up to speed on progress made on Hex. And then I wanted to go to the part where we talked about hiring people too. I thought was interesting. Launch phase, 2 separate security audits by Hex, Chain Security and Coin Fabric. So security audits. And then we got the Hex contract there. And a lot of it's just, it just goes into detail, like what is the flush address? What is the origin address? What is, how all these different pieces work. Wanted to get to, it goes in details about like some like nuance behind all this stuff too. Again, some of this stuff is maybe more interesting to you than me. I feel like I've heard bits of it from here. I just listened to the whole thing, so I'm not. Only a few things I'm going to be pretty excited about to bring out here. Where's the one about? I wanted to see about the. It says like a photocopy or something, so you can't search. Oh, it's annoying. Let's see. In a sec. I'm just going to use my eyes to scan quickly. Talks about the free claim. So this is on the OA2. During my discussion with RH, he claimed he did not know the identity of the owner or controller of the origin address. RH referred to the origin address as a very large holder of Hex. RH said the origin address holder would be incentivized to defend the price of Hex. And he goes into a few different discussions around that as well. Yeah, the minting, talks about the AA. Also talks about recycling around here too, where it said, understand that recycling is a process whereby the same crypto assets are repeatedly sent back through the same wallet address based on documents shown to me by the SEC. So at this point, based on the documents shown to me by the SEC for Hex, I understand there were many repeated transactions which ETH was deposited in the Hex contract, flushed to the flush address, and then sent back to the Hex contract address. Based on documents shown to me by the SEC, it appears that the effect of this activity is the address is perpetuating the recycling that had Hex minted to them through these repeated transactions with the Hex contract address. I remember having a conversation with RH about the concept of recycling, where he voiced annoyance that online communities were speculating about recycling activities related to Hex. So the recycling, so if the process is, it's sending, so he talks about here, same crypto assets are repeatedly sent back through the same wallet. So why would this be beneficial? Was it just to get more supply of the Hex, I think? Is that the ideal, if it happened, like that's what it would result in? I don't know, just doesn't seem that. Yeah, I mean, even if it happened, it's like perpetually recycling, minted to them through the repeated transactions. So you put ETH in, so AA, you put ETH in, you get a certain amount of hex back. There's like at the end of the day, it's all these different numbers back and forth. So let's say you have a wallet that has 100 ETH, and you put 100 ETH in, you get so much hex back. And then if you run the flush function, the ETH would go back to an old wallet that was controlled by the ETH that just minted it. So you're getting the ETH back, but you're getting hex as well. So it's just because in here they talk about 30 or 40%. One of them was like the OA was supposed to have 30 or 40%, and maybe yeah. I don't know. Did something like, because now we know that OA, what is it, 80 or 90% is like some of the projections out there with all the pieces. So it'd be interesting if that was, again, if it happened, all that stuff. And this is apparently the SEC showed documents to Kyle about that activity, able to get more of the hex supply. I don't know. I don't feel like it's like, yeah, some of the stuff, I don't know. Maybe I've just been around for a while. So this one, didn't recall the Arch was comfortable with the origin address controlling approximately 30 to 40% of the total supply of hex tokens. Although I don't specifically recall any changes made to the hex code as a result of these simulations. To the extent of any changes to hex code were made to the simulations, I believe those changes would have been made by TBC Dev at the direction of RH. So yeah, maybe there's a way to, get the numbers, change the numbers based on different functionalities and stuff. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like I've known the OA held such a large amount of supply for so long. Does it even matter? Like, I don't know. Interesting. So that part was interesting. What else? It's basically just, it goes through a ton of different, basically talks about interactions with RH, but I think, I don't know. It's pretty to kind of see it again. If you want to be a fly on the wall, right? It's this is definitely gives some like insight into like what was doing that. Maybe one day there'll be like a remember, I think I said this before about there'll be like a true true Hollywood story, and RH will be sitting there on the couch and talking about glory and decisions he made and all those things throughout the years. So pretty cool. What else? So we talked about the audits too. What else is interesting in this piece? Have anyone in there who's listened to it or read it? Let me know what's interesting here, because I think there are some. I think for people who don't know or haven't read or listened to it yet, a lot of it's just like technical details, like a hex white paper, and then a lot of it is just, especially like we're getting to see it public now, maybe just because it's like the legal proceedings process of some of these things, declarations or otherwise, you get to see come out over time. Try to get maybe Nuclear Herbs on sometime to talk about that as well, and how this stuff works. But a lot of it's just technical stuff. A lot of it is just again, nuance and what happened from Kyle's perspective during that time. So let's see. Let's go through the story, and then what else? We got airdrops. I'm trying to think what else did I learn from this. I think I did learn a couple things I didn't know before. Which, let's see. RH Orchestrator underwrote airdrops of hex tokens during the hex launch phase on the Ethereum network. RH said the purpose of airdropping this hex to a large number of wallet holders would increase the market awareness of the hex token. RH dictated the criteria for the Ethereum airdrops. So interesting here too. I think there was, let's see. So RH's idea, as conveyed to me, is that he wanted people to notice that those contracts held hex tokens. RH directed airdrops only a small number of hex tokens into each wallet pursuant to the selection criteria. So high visibility wallets, yeah, that was like there was a bunch of hex airdropped to, I think it was what was it, exchanges, just maybe whales, I can't remember, stuff like that, which Seems like, yeah, it says RH then directed hex tokens each wallet, just if someone sent you an unsolicited piece of mail. Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. Like airdrops get airdropped new tokens. You open your wallet one day and it's like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff that was, was just dropped there, and you can decide what to do with and stuff from there. So that's pretty standard, and also pretty smart free marketing, right? Especially if a lot of people are watching those wallets. So airdrops occurred during 2020, looks like. And then there's also a table of the different dates and stuff. Airdrops wasn't reminds me, wasn't BitBoy, didn't he get like so much? I think I covered this in a video too. Let me go search my own stream. So let's do RHMax BitBoy. So yeah, this was, so BitBoy telling Richard Hart his hex went from $350 to $56,000. So I don't know how many hex that was, and I don't know if that was just, I don't know, Richard gave it to him or somebody else gave it to him, but somebody airdropped some hex and it went up a lot after that. So pretty interesting there too. So let's go back here. Oh, also on the hex.pub on the Telegram, you can search too. You can be like airdrop. And then you can see like people asking questions. This is like 2018. This is like pretty interesting. Talks about Byteball. Shout out to Byteball, by the way. It's called Obyte now, I believe. You want to remember Byteball? Now Obyte. Yeah. So public archive right there. Talks about the silly well penalties, and I'm not going to go through all the different pieces. A lot of it's very technical, which is great for nerds like me. But I kind of forgot. We are all Satoshi bonus, the WASP bonus. I can't even forgot about the WASP bonus, but everyone remembers Big Payday, right? So Richard directed that the WASP bonus, the We Are All Satoshi bonus, be included in hex code and function. So at the end of the hex launch phase, the hex contract calculated the unclaimed hex tokens distributed through the Bitcoin claim function. The origin address received a copy of the percentage of those unclaimed tokens on a daily basis. Unclaimed tokens at the end of the launch phase were paid out as a staking day on that day, referred to as Big Payday. So ton of hex history here. And then speed bonus. Let's see. Just talks about the OA getting copies of this stuff, copy the bonuses. Anyone listening, if there's something that I kind of skipped through, you want to hear more about, just let me know in the chat. But I'm kind of just, some of the stuff, again, I either already know about, I've heard a few times. I'm just trying to go through some of the maybe more interesting ones. Some of the stuff I learned too. And it talks about Hex, talks about PulseChain and PulseX, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. Let's see. So let's talk about staking. Based on my understanding, a copy of the hex.com website shown to me by the SEC on January 19th, 2023 it describes the hex staking process. First blockchain certificate deposit states that hex stakes receive an average 38% returned a year. I did not author any of the content on hex.com site. As explained to me by RH, staking hex tokens is tantamount to a holder's commitment not to sell for a predetermined period of time. I understood through conversations with RH that his goal in designing the staking process was to incentivize hex holders to hold their hex. Holding hex tokens does not actually operate as a certificate of deposit. Motivation for time locks on staking. RH discussed with me his motivation for time locks on staking hex tokens. He wanted to take the hex tokens out of circulation because he believed that if the supply of hex tokens was lower, the price of hex tokens would increase based on supply and demand principles, which is pretty interesting to see now that there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, even you can even say that the supply that the OA holds, removing it from circulation again could be a step towards the ideal of reducing supply equals more price appreciation. Of course, there's demand piece that we saw. We've seen, we understand as well that even Ari's talked about in a tweet recently too. But yeah, the whole locking up, getting paid for it, getting paid for locking up your coins, removing supply off the market. Liquid holders are getting inflated, right? Stakers are getting paid inflation. Oh, Hex.com designed very, very well. I like the Hex token. That talks about burning, minting. It's like, if you really want to understand how Hex works, again, there's the white paper here, Hex contract in layman terms, has a lot of stuff. And then there is the, just read this document. It's like a mini Hex white paper in and of itself with nuance of, interactions with RH. And then talks about T-shares. Shout out to T-shares. I like them. RH directed that the longer pays better bonus and bigger pays better be included in Hex code. They were features of Hex staking that increase users' effective share of inflation based on the length and size of the stake. Both these types of bonuses have been available to Hex stakers since Hex was launched in December 2019. Talks about early in staking, all this stuff as well. And then we get to PulseX and PulseChain sacrifices. So 44.44, this is on page 10, if you're following along there too. RH directed me to hire developers to assist with developing additional RH projects, including PulseChain and PulseX. I communicated with potential developers for these projects via email at RH's direction. RH ultimately determined which developers we hired to work on PulseX and PulseChain. I sometimes communicated questions and answers back and forth between the developer candidate and RH until RH approved the developer. At that point, RH provided me with a contract to send the developer candidate for signature. So, sign a contract. As part of the process for onboarding these developers, RH required all PulseX and PulseChain developers to provide him with a photo ID and utility bill or some other piece of mail to confirm the developer's address and real identity. So it looks like docs developers, for the team, pretty standard. I think, I say pretty standard if I've ran a team before like this, but in the real world, when you get a job, all this stuff happens too, of course. But yeah, with the contracts and developer, so contract, ID, all that stuff. So, a lot of people, a lot of times it can be for background checks, can be for accountability, can be for, aligning incentives, all that stuff too. I've been involved in conversation with RH concerning the development of both PulseChain and PulseX, two of RH's projects. RH set the parameters and priorities for both projects and directed the efforts of the developers. RH has stated that he intends for PulseChain to be a new blockchain, hard fork of Ethereum. And then a lot of it is just basically like, how does PulseChain work? It's a system state copy and all that stuff. PulseChain launched May 12, 2023. RH stated he intends PulseChain to have cheaper transaction fees than the Ethereum blockchain, replace proof of work miners with proof of stake validators. All that happened. And then sacrifice set talks about that. Sins Foundation basically just describes in detail sacrifice set that, up to a 2.5x bonus deal. Just going to skip around a little bit on that. You can read through it if you like. And then sacrifice points in detail, which I think is pretty interesting if you want to know how that works. And then PulseX. So talk about PulseX, operates similar to Uniswap on Ethereum. And pretty similar on the launch and sacrifice phases on that too. And then other related topics. To the best of my knowledge, no part of the design, development, or implementation of Hex, PulseChain, or PulseX, or the contents of the respective websites or official pronouncements occurred without RH's direction or approval. RH and I spoke about Tornado Cash, and RH expressed a desire for a similar tool to Tornado Cash to operate as part of the Hex contract. Tornado Cash operates as a mixer where crypto assets are put into a central holding address, mixed and then withdrawn to a different address. I developed this functionality for Hex at the direction of RH called HexNado. I remember HexNado. I don't remember what happened with it. I remember the story, but I remember that I think it existed at some point. RH has not paid me for any of my work with Hex, PulseX, or PulseChain. I volunteered my time because I was interested in learning more about coding in the blockchain and took it up as a hobby. However, RH did send me a gift in the form of USDC in July 2021 for the purchase of a Rolex watch. I did not want to keep the watch and informed RH that I intended to sell the watch and return the money. However, I was robbed of the watch, while attempting to sell it on October 4th, 2021. I purchased approximately 40 to 50 million Hex token during the launch period and additional Hex tokens in 2021. During the launch period, I wrote a separate public smart contract that acted as an automated buyer on my behalf. I deposited ETH in the smart contract and used it to buy the Hex token almost every day during the launch period. When I purchased Hex, I believe that the ETH I used to purchase Hex would ultimately benefit RH. I have no reason to believe that any other individual would benefit from the deposit of ETH used to purchase Hex tokens. Nearly all my communications with RH have been via Telegram. At the end of October 2022, or the beginning of November 2022, RH deleted our Telegram direct message history. While I do not remember the exact date of deletion, it was around the time there were rumors circulating regarding recipients of government subpoenas related to Hex. And then, yeah, that was, again, May 18th, 2023. Quite a while ago. And a lot has happened since. But, boy, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. All right, talk to chat. What's going on, chat? Again, if you want to listen to this in a very nice AI voice and all that stuff, put the link in the chat again here for you. Very interesting read. Very interesting read indeed. Crispy 5555 to the RHMax. What's up, Crispy? How's it going? Fox Motor in here. Bombshell. Wow. I guess there is a bomb and a shell emoji you can put together for that. Nicely done. Touche. Touche. Yeah, I mean, as far as the bombshell goes too, I think let me know what you think is most surprising from this, most interesting. To me, it is, again, it's like a Hex white paper with nuance and timeline from communication with RH. I don't think it, and again, this was like a year and a half ago. This was before even officially the SEC came out to with the case. So that came out, what was that? End of July, beginning of August, same year, 2023. So this was right after PulseChain launch and before the official announcement. So, I mean, it's not like this is not like something that happened now that's like, oh, this is going to change. This is going to change everything. This is something they knew even before they did the case. This is like coming from like the SEC was like, apparently, according to this, like showing, Kyle stuff and him commenting on it. What, I don't know exactly how the roots of declaration or how it comes about, but yeah, it was just him telling the story of what happened, what he believed happened in his perspective and all that stuff too. What's interesting to me is like what's missing, because again, most of it is like a Hex white paper told from a dev perspective, again, with conversation nuance, but there's a lot of stuff in those. So that happened in 2023. So 3.5 years, 4 years. I think probably RH kept a lot of stuff close to the chest, right? A lot of stuff he's working on, maybe with other devs and other, maybe other contracts, NDAs. We could speculate all day, right? But it's pretty, I don't know, it just seems to be pretty smart that there wasn't anything in there that was like, I don't know. Do you think there was you think there was like I call it a bombshell because it's like, wow, I didn't expect to be reading a former, I didn't expect to be seeing the declaration like that. Will we see other ones? Will they come out as well in the public record? But I didn't see anything in there that changes much. It's just kind of shocking, and it's shocking that we even get to read it. And I don't see anything really damning. Everything just seems to be par for course. I don't know. I don't think it really. Is this something that the SEC were like, oh, this explains why billionaire bad? I don't know. I feel like everything is kind of just. Is that what they're? Is this like the strength of their? Is this a sign of the strength of their case? What they actually have, that they were able to get the story of Hex out of people, and a founder doing founder stuff. And I feel like all the meme stuff going on is much more, would be much more shocking to the public than that. This just seems like dev and founder do stuff. But I would say that if anything, and I'm still looking at the chat, what I want to know is how he got robbed as a watch. I know I read that and I was like, or I was listening to it and I was like, huh, that sucks. You had the watch, you were gonna sell it and got robbed of the watch. That sucks. No, not the watch. I don't know. Bullish? Is this like we take anything, be like, it could be like good news, bad news, don't matter. It's like bullish. Hexagon's unaffected. I don't know. Fist pump. Hexagon lost in Asia. Good to see you. Welcome, Enoch. Welcome to the crew. The crew of chat crew. Could be replay gang as well. If you just came by to leave a comment, come back to watch it later. That's okay too. Arabe Gio, how's it going? What's up, man? Crypto Butler, how's it going? PulseChain Sleeping Giant. I concur, sir. I concur. Surfing Coin, how's it going, man? Welcome. Hex Honcho. Rapid Unbox. UFO has landed. Good to see you, UFO. How's it going, man? If you want the facts, watch RHMax. I like it, man. I like it. Free speech. How's it going, man? What else? Is this new? Yeah, so it is May 18th, 2023. So it is quite old, but it just came out. We're just seeing it now, as far as I know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I just saw it posted by Gerardo, a few hours ago. So yeah. Nothing. Again, this is, I don't know, like, to me, this may feel like a bombshell to other people. To me, this feels like, I don't know, bullish. I'm going with that. Let's go with bullish. Let's go with SEC. Like, is your whole case based on Hex, knowing how Hex works, that everyone else knows how it works, and it's like a much better and fair system than a lot of other things, and it's literally in the code how the thing works, so you can decide whether you want to participate or not based on the rules if you like them. Anyways, I'd like to see a simulation result of Hex over time. Hex over time. Yeah, I would like to see. I remember them saying, I remember RH talking about stuff like all the simulations and stuff they ran of, like, was it economics, or I know they did economics audit, but they did like simulations of, I don't know, other stuff too. And if I remember, they mentioned that. Will we see those one day? That would be cool to see. Is there going to be like a Hex museum, right? We got the RH museum, maybe, hopefully at some point. Is part of that going to be like, here is a framed copy of a diagram that showed number go up over time? Probably. We project the number go up over time. And that's when we knew Hex was cool. Good morning. How's it going? Welcome. Hex flashbacks. I know Hex and Flash. It's a lot of this is, I didn't start interacting in the community until 2022. But I've been following Richard since 2017. Back when he was Bitcoin Mexico, all that stuff. So I was keeping up, watching every stream, all that stuff, much as I could. And it is a lot of the stuff you start talking about, silly well penalty, like all that, takes me back to hearing him do these streams, these hours and hours of just talking about, oh, this is going to change. Oh, I've thought about this. Oh, this is going to be, and then WinDev, all that stuff. Everyone always doing some government stitch exercise, something like that. Yeah. It's the OA is OA. Again, it's all, everyone's, it always surprises me that all these things are like, look at that thing. And it's like, the thing has been public in code forever. Everyone can see the flash address. Everyone can see the AA. Everyone can see the OA. Everyone can see the deployer of this stuff. Everyone can see all this stuff on the blockchain. How is there a more fair system than being able to publicly verify how contracts work? See who the whales are. See the holders. See the charts. Charts of future market supply. I like the Hex token. Pretty good. Yeah, there you go, Johnny. You mean everything's working design with no bugs? That's unheard of. Yep. I know. What's up, Duke? Welcome. EHEX ratio to PX. Oh, was it? Did I see something about being 1 to 369 or something like that? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Auntie Carol hibernating for what? Yeah, where Auntie Carol? I do hope to see a very positive outcome of said case dismissal recently. Should be pretty good. Hopefully. Anyways, any other? I'm gonna wrap up here in a minute. Any other comments, questions? Yeah, I think it's super interesting. I don't think it changed. Again, this didn't come out today. This isn't like, but it's a year and a half old. However, it's just been public recently. I imagine that's why we're just seeing it now. So Crypto Teddy 3 here for the tech. Shout out to tech. Tech good. I'm excited to see with the new administration and the seemingly very not go and try to fudder crypto bags attitude they seem to have. Very excited for 2025. Good stuff. All right, everyone. May have an interesting stream tomorrow. We'll see. Or this week. One of those. But that's all I got for you today. Scivive 5555. We are out.